Good morning and welcome to day 3 of Dreamforce. We are so excited to bring you another day of empowerment, innovation, fun, and giving back. And today, even more specifically, we are focusing on equality. And perfect for today, on day 9 of your tenure at Salesforce, we've got Tony Profit with us, the Chief Equality Officer. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Marissa. I'm thrilled to be here.
And we have so much great content here today. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about your position and why Salesforce. Let's start with that. Why Salesforce?
Okay, well, I've got a long history with Salesforce, and it really dates back to kind of circa 2010, 2011. And at the time, I worked at HP, and I led the operations for what is now HP Inc. And I had a special project, which was Salesforce effectiveness, I was doing on the side. And at the time, Palm was a phone company, and it was a part of the company at the time, and they had this amazing ability to do sales productivity on a phone. And we had desktop solutions, and Palm showed us this great sales productivity solution that they have, and it was Salesforce, of course, and we began to learn about that, and that began my discovery of this amazing company, Salesforce, and brought me to my first Dreamforce, and ultimately HP became a customer of Salesforce. And since then, I've been coming to Dreamforce and been a fan and a lover of the products and the solutions and the culture of Salesforce. Since that's probably about five and a half years ago.
Yeah, and one thing that's really interesting to me is that, well, some people may say not only are you switching companies, but you're switching careers, but this has been a gradual transition.
No, absolutely. So, when I was leading the operations of HP, an important emphasis for me was finding ways to use the company's footprint, and the scale was massive, global scale, with lots of transportation and hundreds of thousands of workers and a big greenhouse gas footprint. So finding those key points of leverage where HP could be an example in the industry for things like reducing our carbon footprint, for things like stemming the flow of conflict minerals, which, if you don't know, like places in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, those minerals are exported, they're used by the electronic industry and other industries, and that the export of those minerals, it fuels a conflict that creates oppression of principally of women and oppression of children. And so using our supply chain prowess and leverage to stem the flow of conflict minerals, create a platform for human rights, the human rights of the workers in the extended supply chain. So over the years, the last 8, 9, 10 years, increasingly, I've been looking for ways in my career to create a platform for social change, as well as serving all the interests of the shareholders and the financial interests of shareholders. So it's been a gradual transition, as you pointed out, Marissa.
Yes, and also in that time, you have even been a keynoter at Dreamforce. 2014, you were here as part of Microsoft. What were you talking about then?
Oh, it's a remarkable opportunity to come here, and I think I was one of the early speakers, to come from Microsoft and join the conference. And at the time, we were talking about the partnership, the continuing partnership that Microsoft and Salesforce have, and the integration of the Salesforce platform with Office 365 and the integration of Salesforce One app on Windows 10.
Okay, so we have all these great sessions today, but we have already had some that have been really powerful. Can you tell me a little bit about what you were speaking to yesterday?
Okay, yesterday I was a part of two really, really powerful sessions. And the morning session was a session focused on education. And we had a great panel, Sir Ken Robinson from the UK, who's just this legendary speaker with a YouTube video, TED Talk with 40 million views.
We're going to have that today, right? 40 million views right here.
I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. And his premise is asking the question, do schools foster or do they diminish creativity in kids? And we had Hardy Patovi, who is the founder of Code.org, and this huge, incredible platform that's only 3 or 4 years old that's bringing coding to kids as young as kindergarten age. And so it's really a discourse on the past of education and the roots of education and the Industrial Revolution, and is education there solely to train workers for industrial society and what's happening in the present, and the increased emphasis on coding and technology and education, and the future of education, and how the cloud can impact education. So it was a great session.
And what I love about that is not only was there a session involved with that, but we had kids on campus that were doing coding right alongside our Salesforce developers and admins. And I think that's really special.
Right. In fact, we're here in the Trailhead Zone, and literally back here, I can see the kids coding camp is back behind us, back behind the bright lights here in the Trailhead Zone. So it's really impressive, the emphasis, and it's great to see young people involved here right in the Trailhead experience. It's super.
And we are really focusing, though, on kids and also just on making the future brighter for everyone.
Absolutely.
And,
I'm going to tell you about so the second session was
right.
really, really impactful, was the legacy of ending AIDS. And so a big partner this year at Salesforce is Red, and we're supporting Red, and we have the potential, through directly and through matching gifts from Bill and Melinda Gates and matching gifts from Mark and Lynn Benioff to raise up to $4 million for Red, and to use those funds as part of this mission and cause and be within sight of the notion of ending AIDS on this planet. So we had a session on the legacy of ending AIDS, and we had Deb Dugan, who's the CEO of Red, and Connie Madinda, who is living with HIV from sub-Saharan Africa, and she brought her beautiful daughter with her, her daughter was born HIV-free. And so
Wow.
this notion of ending the transmission of AIDS from mother to child is a key part of the strategy and success strategy for breaking that chain of AIDS and breaking this terrible epidemic. And we had Dr. Edward Mottinger joined us, and he leads the Women's HIV program here in San Francisco. And likewise, that's focused on women with AIDS here and trying to help them with healing the whole person and naturally the medical side of it and trying to break that transmission path from the mother to the child.
I do appreciate so much the focus on Red at this conference. And we are already in the process of getting to that first $1 million that's going to be matched. We've actually hit $600,000 this morning.
That's cool. I was just at the pop-up store, and I did just see I literally just came from the pop-up store. I got my T-shirt.
Oh, good.
And I saw the thermometer rising, and that's impressive. And I'm hopeful and encouraging everyone to support at salesforce.com/red and come out and support us in this initiative and get to the $1 million direct contribution, and that gets the multiplier that can get us to $4 million collectively.
And we really are. We continue to talk about the future and how we're going to make the future better. Ending AIDS, having more people, young kids in STEM. But what do you see for the future in equality?
Okay, so Salesforce is and you saw it in Mark's keynote, and he had a theme, and the theme is the age of equality. And our equality platform, the foundation of our equality platform, is a focus on K-12 education, with a clear emphasis in there on STEM, and making sure that low-income students, that young women, that people of color particularly, but all students have got the access and are encouraged and are represented in STEM education, and ultimately, because STEM, I believe, and many believe, that it's the foundational skill for careers of the future. That is the core 21st century skill. So that's the foundation of our equality platform. And then there's 4 principles. The principles are equal opportunity, equal pay, equal advancement, and equal rights. And so equal rights inside the workplace, so a workplace that's free from discrimination, and trying to drive for a workplace that's free from what we call unconscious bias.
Right.
And then being an advocate in the communities in which we operate for equal rights outside of the workplace when our employees step their foot outside the workplace door. So that's our equality platform. That's what's ahead for us.
And we have so many things going on later today. We have the CEO of GLAAD that's going to be talking about how she's really working with media in Hollywood to have different images of what LGBT looks like on camera. And we also have Lily Ledbetter working for equal pay. So we have some great speakers coming up. But really quickly, I'd like to talk, you have a personal, real heartfelt reason why you care so much about equality. You
Right.
have many. You have many.
So many dimensions. I'll just highlight a couple dimensions. One dimension in terms of equality for women is watching the journey of my mother. And my mother was born in rural Oklahoma in a small town, less than 15,000 people in it. And she grew up in the 1930s and 1940s. You think back to the 1930s and 1940s, and what were the opportunities for a black woman at that time? And it was basically, you could cook somebody's food, you could clean their house, and if you're really trusted and really competent in their eyes, you could take care of their children, right? But my mother, she believed in herself and she wanted more. And so in 1947, more or less, she enrolled in Langston University. And in 1951, she became the first person in our family to graduate from college. So she really showed me what empowerment looks like, the example that she set. But she did it swimming upstream. And it'd be great if we lived in a world where it wasn't rare and exceptional for a woman or a black woman to reach that level of accomplishment and have real equality and to struggle and fight for it. So she's been a great example to me personally. But the other personal issue that's been really inspired me is my son. So my son is a proud member of the LGBT community. So I'm a proud LGBTQ dad. And so this journey, my son's now 20, and this journey over the last 5 years with my son of just seeing where you think that the world is okay, but then you actually inspect it firsthand. You have someone that you love who's being subjected to subtle and sometimes not so subtle forms of discrimination has awakened me into a position of heightened advocacy. And so it's something that's personally the LGBTQ issues, as our issues of race, as our issues of gender identity are super, super important to me and from a personal basis.
I mean, it's so important for all of us to feel this personal aspects and connections with equality across the board, in the workplace, out of the workplace. And that's one of the reasons that we're bringing this special sauce of not just product, not just talking about our company, but talking about these issues at Dreamforce. And today is a special day for that.
Right. So today is a special day focused on women and equality. And we have over 100 sessions today focused on women and equality, throughout the campus and the campground. And so it's going to be an amazing day. You mentioned a couple of the speakers that we have. So Sarah Kate Ellis, Anne Marie Slaughter. We have Robin Washington, who's the CEO of Gilead. Lily Ledbetter, who's a pioneer in equal pay. So it's an amazing session with iconic sets of sessions, more than 100 sessions with iconic speakers. So it's going to be a thrilling day, and culminating with our keynote at 5 o'clock.
Tell me a little bit about the keynote.
Okay, so the keynote has icons. Bernard Tyson, he's the CEO and chairman of Kaiser Health. Billie Jean King, and Congressman John Lewis. So you've got these three iconic trailblazers in the area of equality and fighting against injustice. And so they're all people that I truly admire, and I've got the honor of opening up that keynote and giving a few personal remarks, and then also talking about the journey ahead for Salesforce in inequality. So very, very excited about that.
I'm so glad that we have those people that are coming. Billie Jean King, she really is a gender, she doesn't believe that gender counts, that we are all equal, and she proved that while she was a tennis player, a tennis champion, beating one of the world's best male tennis players in a huge televised event. And I think that was hugely impactful for people all over the world.
That was everyone remembers,
Battle of the Genders, right?
That was tremendous, a tremendous, example, and I still have admiration and pride for what she accomplished, and I'm really looking forward to hearing her tonight.
And then we also, John Lewis, isn't just currently an activist. He walked actually with Martin Luther King. He has had a long line of activism. I'm very excited about him as well.
No, he's a pioneer and a hero, and he literally put his life at risk, to fight for the cause in a peaceful way.
Right.
A peaceful way to fight for the cause of equality. And so that whole movement with Dr. Martin Luther King and people like John Lewis and Reverend Jesse Jackson, and that peaceful movement, I think is a super important example to us today about how effective change and lasting change and healing can happen through peaceful advocacy and peacefully standing up and peacefully expressing and pointing out points of injustice. So that's why he's an icon, almost an idol of mine, and I'm thrilled that he's part of the program for this evening.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. We are so proud to have you as part of our company, and we look forward to seeing what's going on. Thank you all for watching Salesforce Live, and we look forward to another day of great content.